Welcome back to Startup Screen Printing. My name is Jesse. Today I want to talk about frames. I'm going to tell you why I'm so frustrated with static frames and about my experience using eco frames over the last 6 months. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. Subscribe to the channel, like this video. Be sure and hit that bell so you'll be notified next time I release new content. I will tell you that Ryonet did send me the eco frame starter kit. I reached out and asked them if they would be willing to send me a kit for me to try out, and so that I could give you guys my thoughts on the kit and whether I think static frames are better than eco frames or whether the eco frames are a better solution. I'll tell you right off the bat, my guess with the eco frames is that since I'm a small shop, I'm at home, in this basement, I don't have unlimited space. I don't have a big warehouse or anything like that. And that's the situation that most of you are in as well. And so I only have a certain amount of space that I can fit different screens and more screens. And so when I have a screen that's like this, which I'm sure many of you probably do, where there is nothing in this, or you have a screen like this one, where the screen itself has come loose from the glue started to give way, and so this screen doesn't have the same tension that it used to. Rendering it effectively useless. You could probably get by with a one-color print on a screen like that, but it's really not ideal. So now I've got these two frames that are taking up space. I can either throw them in the trash, I can find some metal place to donate them to, I can chop them up and get rid of them, or a lot of guys will do some sort of craft like a table or a artwork frames or something to make out of the reused things. Now, from a screen print perspective, you can actually send these back to a lot of companies and get them rescreened. So they'll clean the glue residue off of here, and they'll put a new screen on here, and you just let them know what mesh size that you want on the screen itself, and they'll send it back to you. My problem with that is I don't want to do that for just one, because I don't want to go through the hassle of finding a box big enough and that packs it correctly to ship it to some place if I don't have a place locally, so that then they can rescreen and ship it back. And to me, that's a lot of cost. It's a lot of time. And so that's why most people, I think, just end up trashing them and just buying a new one. And they think, well, it's cheaper just to buy a new one. And it might be. But what about the cost of the turnaround time? What about the cost of waiting to get a screen that's usable if you pop one? You ruin the screen on a static frame, and that's no longer usable. You either need to order a new one and wait for that to come in, or you need to send this someplace to get rescreened and wait for it to come back. So to me, that's just not ideal. I want something a little better solution. I wanted something that at any given time, if I were to tear the screen or pop the mesh, that I could always put a new mesh on and it'd be nice and tight. I also wanted something that would have a tighter tension. And the eco frames tend to start off with a higher tension than the static frames that I receive. Maybe it's just the ones that I've received. I don't know. But so I wanted something that I could rescreen very quickly and not be down for days while I wait on a new one. And I could just maintain an inventory of mesh panels and ready to use screen frames, eco frames, to get that done. So let's step over to the closer to the press. We'll take a look at the eco frame and I'll talk a little bit about that. All right, so I've got one of the eco frames here, and as you can see, you've seen this stuff before, I'm sure. Lee Stewart has a great video on actually putting this stuff together, but essentially we've got a long flat plastic piece that is sewn into the mesh. It gets rolled over a couple of times and put into these metal bars that get pulled in tension with a tool so that they get really tight up against that, and you end up with a nice tight screen. This particular type of eco frame, I had Ryonet send me the Hydro Mesh. Now they know that I print water-based ink, and the Hydro Mesh is more typically for water-based ink. So this is a 230 mesh, 40 micron Hydro Mesh panel. And so what you would typically see with these, now knowing that the Hydro Mesh is a thinner thread, it is a little more fragile, so you got to handle it with a little bit more care, but typically they'll tell you to put some tape right along here and then put some, tape across the top or all the edges, really, they tell you. in the instructions and stuff that it's best to tape up all the areas so that you protect the mesh. And that's because once you get it into your screen clamp, this metal right here could damage the mesh here and cause it to rip, rendering it effectively useless. But my problem with that is when you have the tape on there and you go to reclaim the screen or spray it out, now that tape is starting to peel away because what kind of tape are you using? You use a screen tape, which is low tack, low adhesive. And so it's going to peel away very easily. So now I'm just wasting tape and I don't have something that's always going to be on there. And if I were to even use something like duct tape, well, now I risk the residue of duct tape and how difficult it can be to get off of things. But also if I wanted to change the mesh or if I tear the mesh and I need to change it, I've got to peel that duct tape off and it's just not ideal. So what I've done instead, I can apply the tape to this, or I can just apply a layer of tape to this. And so now I have the exact same protection. I can put this screen in here and tighten it down and know that I have the exact same protection of a layer of tape in between the metal screen clamp and the metal screen and the mesh itself. So I've got the same end result, but I just have that on my screen clamp so that now it's there and available for any screen. I don't have to worry about whether I'm using an EcoFrame or not, because now if I can, it works the exact same way with a regular static frame. I can take that and put it in there and it's going to fit just as the others would. So I'm not using a thick tape because I don't want to change that off contact. But if I did, then I would just adjust my off contact on the screen clamp itself. But it's really a great solution. It saved me. I wasted a ton of tape before I finally thought, why am I putting it on the screen? Why can't I just put it on the clamp? So to me, it's a huge time savings with tape, cost savings. I don't have to worry about the tape peeling off when I'm reclaiming the screen. So I really, really love the solution. And my experience with the EcoFrames is they're fantastic. They are heavy. An EcoFrame is going to be about 4 pounds, whereas a static frame, you're running about 2.5 pounds. So it's nearly double the weight. So that is one drawback to it. I really wish they would make it lighter. I'm sure they probably could, and hopefully they will at some point. But at the end of the day, that's not a huge deal. Especially I'm not carrying around 20 frames a day every day. Not that big a deal to me. So I'm not as much worried about the weight. I was worried about the vulnerability of the mesh in those areas where I was going to have the screen clamp. But now that I've figured out a better solution for that, I'm not even worried about that. And so the added tension to these have allowed me to get much better prints. My registration with multicolor prints has been spot on, way faster. And I just printed a design right here. I just printed this one here. This is a 157 40 micron, so thin thread. And I printed white on this the other day and just had to do a single pass, and it was a great white. So it really let a good amount of the white through. It's been fantastic. So I love these screens. I plan on getting more of these frames. I'm going to continue to use my static frames as I can, and when they wear out or they tear, I'll just trash them. But my plan is to switch over completely to the EcoFrames because whether it's these EcoFrames or another brand of this style of, rescreenable frame, I just think it's a great solution. And for a small shop like mine at home, or not a ton of space, I like the idea of having, 20 frames, and I can always swap out different mesh sizes as if I really need a mesh, or if I tear a mesh, I just put a new one in and I can maintain for a long time with a set number of frames and not have to continue to buy more. So I'll put a link in the description to these frames. Like I said, Ryonet sent me these. So, they didn't have any say-so over what I said in this video. They don't even know that I'm making this video. And they sent me these 6 months ago and haven't asked a thing about them since. They were great about really wanting to hear my input and my feedback. So there it is. I think they're great. I think it's a great solution for if you're looking for this type of situation. You're looking for a solution that's better than the static frames, that's more reusable, and that you're not just wasting space and have these, frames that are no longer usable. They're just taking up space and creating junk in your shop. So yeah, that's my take on EcoFrames. Let me know what you think. If you have any feedback on them as well or any experience with them, I'd love to know what you think in the comments. But that's it for the EcoFrames. Hope you enjoyed. All right, thanks again for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please click that like button down below and subscribe and click the bell icon. It really helps me grow this channel and grow this business that I'm creating to help people like yourself start and grow profitable screen print companies from home or from a local shop or wherever you are. And so that's my passion. That's my goal with this. I would love to know in the comments how I can help you. What kind of content can I create that would help you? What solutions are you looking for? What problems are you facing? I'm here to serve you. So I would love your feedback as to how I can better do that in upcoming videos.